What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. Today was a real interesting day. Driving up the canyon, we had a lot of snow going on, and I was following a snowplow, so I was going super slow. And I'm in a Jeep, so I'm bound to break down or go off the side of the road, anyways. So I was going really slow. It's about a 16-mile drive up the canyon. As I got up the canyon, got to where the ranch is, the horses were there, and the elk were all piled in with the horses. And right as I pulled up, I didn't even get my phone out because right as I got up to them, the elk come piling out over the fence and they took off up the mountainside. And when they did, a bull's antler just flopped off to the side, but it's still attached. And it kept running down the road, and I stopped the biologist and we watched it for a good bit, waiting for that sucker to drop. It'd be the first shed. January 17th. Nope, still attached to the skin, which means to me that something happened. Most likely, it was you can't even call it a spike, but it had a little fork at the top. What it means to me is most likely that bull got it caught in where we feed the horses. So it stuck his head through and got caught, or it was going under fences. We have a couple of fences that they've broken some holes through, and they were going through there and it possibly got caught and damaged and broke off. Super interesting. Then the other thing is that as I was coming down the canyon, I've got a crappy video of it, but as I was coming down the canyon, I saw a golden eagle off the side of the road, like 3 feet off the side of the road. Again, there's 4 inches of snow. Plow hasn't been up since the first thing in the morning. This is now 1 o'clock in the afternoon as I'm coming down. Haven't been up since. 3 feet off the road, I drive by, I slow down, and this bald eagle flaps off. And there was a turkey, and the turkey was still alive, but it basically had no feathers on its back. This bald eagle was just going to town, ripping all the feathers, and I ruined its meal. Drove down the road about 100 feet, took video of it. The golden eagle is sitting above it, just looking down at the turkey. And eventually cars came, and I didn't want to be sitting in the middle of the road filming, so I never did get to see the eagle go back onto the turkey. But the most random thing ever. Okay, here's a weird situation for you. Deer units are set up on geographical locations. Sometimes its boundaries just make sense. There's a road here, and there's a road here, and there's state boundaries here, and so we're going to put a unit. And sometimes they're based on canyons, sometimes they're based on rivers, and sometimes you're just like, here's the middle of a big chunk of land. We're going to make this a unit. Okay. The unit that I live in is very, very difficult to manage mule deer in, especially bucks. We have a lot of die off in the winter. We have a lot of winter mortality in fawns. We do get quite a bit of adult mortality. Usually not terrible, but the last winter we lost 50% of adults. We lost 100% of fawns. Okay. So the challenge that you have, though, is on the very western end of the unit. The temperature and the weather there on the other side of the mountain range is actually fairly moderate, and deer survival is really good. They actually had fawn survival last year, and they had, I think it was mid 80% adult survival. So survival is really good. Buck-to-doe ratios, you're looking at that 24, 25 bucks for every 100 does, which is really high for the area that we're in. They're normally managed between 18 to 20. And so when you're getting that 24, 25 range, that's awesome. Okay, now you go to the very eastern side of the unit. And that area, which is probably 40 miles across to that other side, is roughly 13 bucks for every 100 does. Far more public, but it's 13. And then you got the northern end, which now you climb up into that, back into that 20 to 21 bucks for every 100 does. But then on the south end, you drop back into that 18, 17. And so the challenge that you have is you basically, as I was talking to the biologist, he has 4 different areas he's got to manage for in one unit. And that is another reason why people are often unhappy with deer management units and how they are split up. In fact, it would actually be better if he was to create subunits. But then people get mad because now they don't know which unit, and so they tried to simplify it here in Utah. But ultimately, for him to manage it effectively and the way he wants to, he would almost have to create subunits, and that's just not going to happen. So you take all of those, you average it out. He's above his 18 to 20 does, or 20 bucks for every 100 does, and everybody's happy. But depending on where you're hunting, you may or may not be happy with the buck to doe ratio and the amount of mature deer that you're going to find. This is a key reason why you need to get to know your biologist. I'm not saying bug them, yell at them, but you need to know them, ask them questions, and get them to open up to you and talk about what areas may be a little bit more challenging or what areas they would recommend going with higher buck to doe ratios. So, hope that helps. Also, wildlife management is challenging because deer don't respect imaginary lines we draw. Have a great day. Stay wild.